Sign up today for a 7-day free trial at alerts.chartguys.com. Hey everyone, checking back in on the cryptocurrency space. Bulls are liking the way things are shaping up. It's been only up since we had the potential catalyst of Middle Eastern conflict leading to some buying. Whether or not that's the reason, who cares? Bottom line is we are breaking the daily lower high resistance on Bitcoin. 75.31 broke. And at this point, we're going back to that pattern that we've been watching on the longer term setups. And so far, the longer term setups are following through. It's just reliant on Bitcoin here to see a break of left shoulder, head, right shoulder. The right neckline is here at 76.89 and the left neckline is 78.70. Both of those levels have to break for me to say our monthly high or low has been established. So again, this is using the bigger picture as to most likely scenario and then zooming in using shorter term time frames to get probabilities as to the most likely scenario playing out. So we've been looking for this monthly equilibrium to be playing out for months at this point. And if we can get that bull break, we will then have our monthly high or low set and we'll be scouting a monthly lower high into the first half of 2020, looking for that lower high compared to 13.8 pretty much. So that still has to happen for the Bitcoin bulls to follow through. They're positioned well to do so. We may need one more daily high or low. Don't lose sight that this move did occur, $700 move with no daily consolidation at this point, pretty much 10% plus. So if we can see another daily high or low form, I do believe there will be a lot of bulls looking to buy that daily high or low in anticipation of the eventual bull break and monthly high or low. Keep in mind, the 4-hour time frame has to lose the uptrend for any daily consolidation to take place, and I would say anything above 73.12 is a 4-hour high or low. Shorter term time frames remain a bit frustrating. We have these bull breaks that lead to an all-out dump, and this has happened time and time again in the last few days, if not few weeks, and it's been a dip buying opportunity. You don't want to be buying these bull breaks because we get crushed right back down, but then we see the price level out and the bulls have been coming out on top. So here's the price leveling out and the bulls slowly making their way back to where we came from. So far that's been the pattern. Bull break into a dump, bulls buy the dip of the dump, trade sideways in a bit of an equilibrium setup, and then fade higher. So that's been the pattern. Altcoins still looking good. So Ethereum daily higher low and higher high. We never lost the daily uptrend. The higher low is now 125.52 and anything above that keeps the daily uptrend intact. And the next resistance, I'm looking in the 145s and then up to 152 as the next level after that. Every higher high that we see from here gives the bulls more space to work with on the weekly time frame and decreases the potential of a weekly bear flag just a bit more every time we get follow through. Is a weekly bear flag still possible? I would say yes, but pretty much if the bulls can make their way into the mid to upper 140s, then I would start to say no. But a clear daily uptrend remaining intact, same thing, 4-hour higher lows. When we lose those, we look for a daily higher low to form on Ethereum. ETH BTC chart changed the daily trend. We had the low, high of the bounce, little bull flag, very brief sideways consolidation into continuation. Keeping in mind, again, weekly time frame, we're just looking for a lower high to be set. If you want it to be alt season, what I want to see is BTC dominance chart lose its monthly support level. Because right now, as long as the bulls hold 70, make that 67.19 and 67.17, the bulls are just fine. If we lose 67.17, we are then in a monthly downtrend of a lower high and lower low. So recently we were looking for the daily uptrend to be lost, for the altcoins to start to get some follow through, which has happened now, lower high and lower low, which is resulting in Bitcoin pairings getting follow through. So I need to see the ETH USD chart change its weekly trend and the ETH BTC chart change its weekly trend in order to have a very significant impact on how I trade the cryptocurrency space, most notably just shifting away from Bitcoin and trading this name more. Litecoin is also seeing continuation. So a bit frustrating for me because the setup is playing out as I anticipated, but it was just a little bit of trade execution where we broke the daily higher lows straight into a bull break that stopped me out of my position. So aside from that fact, things are going well. And again, I could sit here and talk about how bad stop losses are and talk about my bad luck and how I always get stops hunted before the price goes in the other direction, when in reality I know we could have very easily broken that support and dropped down to break $35, in which case I would have loved the fact that I was stopped out. So same thing as Ethereum, trying to negate the weekly bear flag. We're certainly still looking for a weekly lower high to be set. The next resistance level is going to be up at 44.64, which broke. So now 46.54 is the next level. 4-hour uptrend clearly intact, keeping the bulls in control. Lose the 4-hour uptrend and we'll look for a daily higher low to form. Bulls have a lot of space above the recent low of 38.74. LTC BTC daily trend change as well. Low, high of the bull move, which is why I got in the initial position, stopped out, and now trying to get follow through for the bulls. Same thing though, just looking for a weekly lower high, bigger picture. If we want to see the altcoins return to glory, we need to see weekly trend changes on both the US dollar and Bitcoin pairings. XRP had a beautiful break. The only bull breaks I'm going to be buying in the crypto space are the ones that come after really prolonged tightening ranges. And here was one where we hit resistance, support, double top, double bottom, rejected just under resistance, set one more little higher low on the 4-hour, and then huge volume breakout. And that's the kind of follow through you want to see. 19.9 was resistance, and here we are up hitting 2.2. So over a 10% move, and that's the kind of move where I would buy in and then look to take half position profit very quickly to be able to put my stop loss below support and have very little risk, and then ideally be riding the second half of the position for follow through. So XRP, just like that, comes back to life. I would still consider anything under 315 as a weekly lower high, but bulls are creating a nice amount of space. Same scenario as Ethereum and Litecoin, but a bit more space. Let's double check that and see percentage wise. Visually, it definitely looks like more space, but sometimes that can be a bit deceiving. So we're 24% off of the low, and Ethereum is 23. So we're right in line with each other. Just playing a bit of catch up as a laggard after a more prolonged tightening daily range broke bullish. BNB continues its daily uptrend. We held the higher low of 12.85. Bull break over 14.38. Next resistance is $15. Weekly time frame. We're not looking to change the trend here. Just trying to negate the weekly bear flag. And all of these charts, if they want to see significant bullish moves, we need a weekly inverse head and shoulders. Get as close as you can to the high of November. That's a long ways away, but that's the setup that we're looking at on most of these names. Bulls need to get as close as they can to the weekly higher low to create space. I should say to the weekly lower high to create space for the weekly higher low whenever we do top out. So again, no FOMO on the longer term time frames, but clearly bounce is getting a bit more follow through. Link USD remains one of the weakest names, and that is because we have not broken the top here. It's the highest price that we've seen on this bounce has not broken. XRP was in the same boat, and we saw it fly 10% over its resistance. That would be like Link right now trading at 215, 220. So still very much so a laggard. And there's a top fishing play approaching off of 196 resistance. If we get up to 196, a bit extended, and it looks like the sector is going to consolidate, that's a potential top fishing play for Link bears to be watching. XTZ USDT, I'm starting to pay attention to this setup too. So weekly perspective, we know we're looking for a weekly higher low and a likely weekly equilibrium due to the size of the range on this move. What do we need for a weekly higher low? A daily trend change. Well, this move's coming off the low, so we're not going to change this daily trend anytime soon. Anything under 140 is a daily lower high. So that tells me keep an eye out for an inverse head and shoulders. Look at the 12-hour chart. Left shoulder, neckline, head. If we fail to break 140, that's our right neckline. And then we need a 12-hour higher low and then bull break to shift momentum convincingly to give us the weekly higher low and to then be looking for the weekly lower high. So this is the kind of setup where be picky. So if I'm going to make a trade on XTZ, I need to see a rejection from 140, and then I would look to scale in maybe 2-3 positions looking for that 12-hour higher low in the low 130s or mid 120s. It all depends on how high we get before we top out. But that's something to be watching over the next 2-3 days for XTZ. So overall, solid bull move, continuation, decreasing the odds of weekly bear flags, but those weekly bear flags are still possible, so don't disregard them completely. When we see our weekly time frames top out, we know we need longer term weekly trend changes for any significant follow through. Aside from all of that, it remains on Bitcoin to try and break its short-term resistances we highlighted on that 3-day inverse head and shoulders pattern. And again, I just like the 3-day for clarity. It makes it a much more smooth. And we can see 76.89, 78.70, 2 key resistances in play for this week. So hope you're well. Do good things out there. Hope you had a good weekend. And we will check back in soon. Sooner if Bitcoin can break these resistances. So some updates around the property here. You are witnessing the birthplace of a lot of the recent educational videos. I have a routine of getting in here every night and stretching, part of my wind down routine after markets close, but I also have a waterproof pen and paper that I dictate lots of the video ideas on as I brainstorm. There's also some confused bulbs that I planted earlier. They're starting to come up already, so I might have to cover them up as they're going to get too cold here. It's far too soon for that to be happening January 2nd. Got a fence put in to keep out the bears and deer and turkeys and all that fun stuff in the spring when these garden beds are popping off. Also looking forward to trellising a bunch of cucumbers and peas and beans and things along the fence for some extra space. And we got our first snow last night, just a little light dusting, not sticking around very long. And that's January 2020.